Thinking. Alrighty. Hello, Empowered Femme, and welcome. I'm Katrina Hahling coming to you live. I'm interviewing the lovely, I was going to say lovely, Kat Burke. Lovely because her brand is Lovely Radical. And Kat, maybe you can do a bit of an introduction on who you are and what you do.
Yeah, sure. Well, I also really align with, I guess, everything that Katrina does. My name's also Katrina, but we'll call me Kat so we can differentiate. So I am an empowered women's coach as well. I get to work with so many women around the world. I do work with men as well, but for some reason it takes less work with men. But we basically just get to work together on all of our limits and all of the things physically and mentally in that whole kind of circle of health that tie in together that we need to be tying together to support us. So I have a beautiful online program that I guide women through. I do one-on-one coaching and I teach yoga and meditation and run retreats as well.
So much fun stuff.
Yeah.
And for those of you that are watching, I have put all of Kat's links, at least her social media links. I didn't put your website or anything, but all of Kat's social media links are in the comments of this group, so you should be able to find it when you're watching this video. And one of the things I really wanted to talk to you about is something that I don't really touch on at all in the work that I do, and something that you really focus on, being in sort of more that health and wellness field. How does like gut health and managing what you eat influence how you, say, feel about yourself or your self-worth?
Well, I guess I'll kind of lead into that by drawing on my experience. So I've always been this very optimistic person, and I'm always showing that I'm feeling great. And and so I was always one of those people who everyone wanted to come to for advice, and that was awesome. And that led me into coaching, which I was already dealing with so many underlying health issues, like chronic health conditions, before chronic conditions were a thing that we even talked about. I had depression that was kind of interwoven with that. And so then I started kind of offering my services, and I got burnt out. I literally broke because all of that physical side of things, like I think, anyone could relate to this. If you're on a mission, you're on a roll, you've got something you're really excited about doing, and then you get the flu, or you get a cold, like a really stuffy one, or you get an injury, and all of a sudden, it's just like roadblock. Nah, lost the momentum, and it can be really hard. So I really wanted to tie physical health from the inside out naturally into our self-development journey, because if we can try and remove sickness and, major injuries and that type of thing as best as possible, then we're not going to have as many of those roadblocks that our mind puts in front of us, stopping us from actually doing the work. And the reason I offer that is because that's what saved me. Gut health was something you hear about, and when you're in your 20s, you're like, yeah, I'll eat my veggies. Yeah, I'll, maybe not drink too much or whatever, but you sometimes have to get to a rock bottom to be like, okay, I'll do something. And they've not only tied the health of our gut, of our microbiome, of all the little cells that are constantly a little battle inside of our guts here. They've not only tied that to obviously our immune system, our physical well-being, the ability for the body to heal itself from injury, from anything, but it's also completely intrinsically connected to our mental health and our neurotransmitters that are being released that keep us up or down. And it was when I finally made the commitment to myself to take care of myself on that level that everything changed. For me personally, I was able to have the space to do more, to do the work on my mental health, to do the work on all my limiting beliefs. I was like, I don't get sick. I feel good. I feel energized. Like, my body is healing itself, which is inspiring to a human being in and itself. So that is now very much incorporated into what I do. And I get to work alongside a lot of amazing professionals who know a lot more about it than me. I'm just a science nerd who's done my own research, but kind of used my body as a human experiment over the years. I like to joke about that, but yeah, it's all tied together, and I just want other people to be able to feel that physical level of health and that physical confidence in their body inside and out, so that all of the other stuff that we need to work through is just a lot easier.
Yeah. And I think we can all relate to that, like even if you haven't ever reached a point of having like a burnout or breakdown, I think we can all relate to that. That fatigue that comes with, you know, if you're eating lots of sugar and then all of a sudden you're having like this fatigue crash, or, you know, like those sort of roller coasters throughout the day, that when you are feeling physically in better form. Actually, here's a great example. I currently have a bit of an earache, and that's why this is happening today and not on Saturday as originally planned. And even noticing that like the last couple of days I've just slowed down completely and just taken time to rest, because it's impacting everything. Even though it's just in my ear, it's really like, you know, I'm feeling tired, and, you know, so then everything else feels a little bit harder, like the work that you really need to do, the inner work that you need to do that comes with personal growth and personal development. So when you're feeling physically well, I mean, we can all relate to the fact that it's a lot easier to then do everything else that we need to do.
Yeah, and there's, you know, there's a physical reason for that. Whenever our body is diseased or broken in some way, like our, you know, nervous system, our immune system, they're all working together like max speed, sending all its power to that one problem. So it's like, screw digesting the food, that's not important. Like, screw getting a period right now, that's not important. Whatever it is that we're not, you know, feeling, whether we're not feeling energized or excited or, you know, able to get up and go for a run, like, it's all because all the energy is going to this one thing it's got to fix. But if we're actually feeding our body the right way, not just physically, but emotionally and mentally, then it can just like can send those resources to one place, but then keep everything else running at the same time. If that makes sense.
Yeah, definitely. And with that, I love the way that you said it, but like disease. I remember the first time I heard it said in this way before was Louise L. Hay in her book, You Can Heal Your Life. If you haven't ever read it before, please read it. It's been like a Bible for me over the years.
Have it on your phone. It's so good.
So good. And one of the first, the first time I ever heard it phrased like this is the breakdown, like disease is dis-ease. It's your body is in a state of unease, lack of ease. Ease is not there. And I was like, oh, that's a really cool way of phrasing it. And it is like that. Your body, like when you're in pain, when you're sick, when something's not right, you know, your body is in a state of dis-ease.
Yeah, it's trying to tell you something. It's trying to tell you that it needs help.
Something.
Yeah, and it's not like we're necessarily built, especially in this day and age, to feel amazing every single day all the time. That's not possible. Like, I still get little aches and pains, and, you know, maybe I'll get a flu. I don't know. Haven't had one for 2 years though. But like, we're going to get that. But if we can not stress out when we get a little symptom and more be like, okay, why is this? What can I like change and adjust to perhaps get through this quicker, or help my body do its thing? Because our body wants to fix it. But if our body is eating crap food all day, it's trying to deal with digesting that. So it's like, oh, you've got a cut? Well, that can wait. Like, it's got to prioritize things, and it's not always in our best interests the way it does it. Oh, I think I've lost you. I don't know if I'm frozen or if she's frozen. Thanks for watching if I'm not frozen. Let's see if we can get her back. Anyway, but if anyone else has any questions in regards to, or just anything that's currently challenging you right now, in regards to physical or mental, emotional situations that you're going through, definitely feel free to reach out, because there's so many things. Like, it took me a decade of playing around with different things and using myself as an experiment to get to where I'm at right now. So I don't want anyone else, and my biggest message is I don't want anyone else to have to go through 10 years of stumbling through and having to research everything and try things and fail. So I want to be able to give people a decade worth of tools in a matter of days. So yeah, if anyone is resonating with this and just feels like they get sick way too often, or they don't have enough energy, or they don't get good enough sleep, or they don't have enough time, especially for self-care. If you don't have enough time for self-care, you don't have enough time for anything else. You know, it's what people say about meditation, and self-care can be anything. So just going to check and see if we can get Katrina back. But yeah, self-care can be anything essentially. And I have a huge list of things that I do for self-care. Whew. Sorry, I'm just getting messages from Kat right now. But yeah, self-care can be anything essentially. And I have a huge list of things that I do for self-care. And so something, I guess, while we're waiting, that I would pose to anyone listening to this who's like, I don't have time though. You know, what's that narrative that's running in your head? Like, I'm going, you've always got time for self-care. And you're like, no, I don't. I have A, B, C, D, E obstacles. I do not have the time. Oh, we're back. Yay. I was just having a little spiel because I was like, I'm still alive.
Still there. My internet dropped out. I don't know what that was, so I've just added it to my phone.
I was just basically going on a little spiel about how self-care is obviously so important, but a lot of us, our auto response to someone saying you have to self-care is like, well, I don't have time. And so I was just kind of having a little go on that, and it's like, you know, could we create time for something a little extra in the day? So, but anyway, I'll throw it back to you because I'm sure you have an agenda.
All right. Well, on that note, how do you create time?
I get up really early. And you know, I am in a position where I don't have dependents, and I don't have right now any other work to go and do. But I think that's the beauty, is that right now, especially, so many people watching this do have a little bit more time, even if it's just a little bit more. Even if you've got all the kids at home, is there a way that you could get up half an hour earlier and try and snatch at least 10, 15 minutes to read a book, to write a gratitude list, to listen to a meditation or a motivational podcast or something? You know, there's always little stolen moments, and that can be triggering for people to hear who do have really busy lives, but there always is. Like, I've literally built my business on stolen moments, sitting on the toilet at work. Like, you know, it can be done, and we just have to get through that barrier that the mind is always trying to protect us. And it's really, really creative with the excuses that it will throw up. And it will be very convincing. It'll be like, well, you really can't do this because, you know, you need to feel guilt about not taking care of the kids or this or that, whatever. But if you're not taking care of yourself, it's almost a disservice to everyone else around you, because you want to show up, you want to feel like the best version of yourself so that everyone else can enjoy that as well. You know, it doesn't matter if you can't make perfect lunches for the kids in the morning. If you make them imperfectly, but you show up and you're happy and you're feeling energized and you're feeling so happy and good about yourself within, kids won't care about what their lunches are made of. They'll feel that. And that goes for any relationship, any connection in your life. So that's why I find it so, so, so important.
Definitely. And it's about that, I guess, like, and why it becomes just what I was in the middle of trying to ask is, like, your whole mindset methodology is helping people feel good.
Yeah.
And that's part of it too. Like, I know there's a lot of women in today's day and age, because we can work and we do have children, and we, you know, who are trying to be that super mum and do it all. and then striving for that level of perfectionism, which doesn't really exist. And like you were just alluding to, like the perfect food with the perfect this, the perfect that, but then they're crabby about it. They're not spending time with their kids, or they're not spending time for themselves because they're trying to make this external facade of perfection.
Or we have a perception of of other people having perfection in their lives, especially with social media. We all know at the stage, comparison is a real problem. It's always been for us girls. We're babies of the 80s, so we, had Cream magazine or Dolly magazine or whatever it was. Whereas now, it's right here, every single morning, all day, every day. Comparison. Someone else's life is more perfect than mine. But my philosophy to make people feel good anyway is that, that's our perception, that's our assumption of what we've decided life is supposed to be like. But real life is not like that. Real life is freaking hard sometimes. Real life has ups and downs and plateaus, and we just have to learn to find ways to love all of it for what it is. And when I think we can get into that kind of state, we can feel good anyway. Even if I'm on the ground having a breakdown because my heart's just been broken or whatever it is, at some stage I'm going to start laughing because it's like, okay, this is all part of it.
Yeah.
So, I really love to, share all the tools. And what I was saying when you were off was I've had to experience a decade of ups and downs and trying to figure it all out myself. And so I try and compile all of that knowledge into, a matter of days so people don't have to spend a decade of trial and error themselves, hopefully.
Yeah, which is something that I think people who do the kind of work that we do, that's our biggest wish, is like, I don't want you to waste 10 years on this or 15 years on this. Like, here's everything I know, boxed up, take it, use it, put it into practice in your own life so that you don't have to spend the same amount of time that I do.
Yeah, or at least know it for when the time comes, rather than having to have the time come and then be like, what do I do? Oh, maybe this, or maybe this, or maybe I'll pay this amount of money for this. It can definitely save time to learn from each other.
Definitely. And what would you say have been your biggest, maybe, breakthroughs when it comes to your relationship with yourself and your sort of self-confidence and self-worth? What have been some aha moments for you?
Oh, wow. There's a few. Gosh, I've had a few, we call them the dark night of the soul. So I've had a few of them where you really, in other words, they'd be called rock bottom, where you just kind of look around and you're like, this is not me. This is not the world I expected to be living in or possible for me. And over time, I think a lot of those experiences and doing a lot of learning about law of attraction and energy exchange and just being what you want to see in the world and really embodying that. When I've put that into practice and I've seen the reflection back from universe or physical experience, I'm like, oh, okay, wow. So when something isn't so great, it's a really hard pill to swallow, and it happens still to this day, is that when something isn't working in my life or when someone's behaving a certain way, I can't get mad at them. I can, but I can't get mad at the situation because it means there's something here. It means there's a new level that I need to delve into. So that's the hugest, I think, realization about self-love and self-care, is there's not a final destination with it, as much as we'd like there to be. It definitely gets more fun and easier, but knowing that whenever you see something that's not satisfactory in your life, go within. Step back, leave that person or that situation alone, because it's just a reflection of what is going on in here, of what you need to unveil. And once you do, then that situation, that person, whatever, will either rise with you or it will fade away. And that's okay, because that creates space for something that is doing the work that you're doing. So I think that's on many different things. I think that's the biggest lesson, because it's the hardest one. None of us want to turn that blame on ourselves because we're so conditioned to say it's your fault, but it never is. So
yeah.
And that's okay. That's okay. We are worthy and enough anyway. And I think the only thing I really wanted to touch on with that is that it feels like really hard work. And I mean, any of this work can feel really, really hard. But the thing I think I really like to try and do is just make it as easy as fun as possible. I think that's why having, like, touching on all the different levels of wellness is so important, whether it's, you know, gut, physical, you know, emotional, spiritual, because when you're doing everything on an even keel, it is more fun. You don't have those intense highs and intense lows. You've kind of just more got like the wave going on.
Yeah. Your wave.
My hand gestures, I swear. Anyway.
I had something that I wanted to say, now I've just lost it. I was just looking out the window and there's thousands of butterflies flying past here on the Gold Coast. And it just got it, today it burst again with even more, so I got distracted by all the butterflies. I've been trying to get some good footage of them, but I haven't been able to get a good camera angle to film them.
Transformations.
Yeah. Flying on the Gold Coast, we're having this explosion of butterflies in there. Like, I don't know what the breed is called. They're like blue and black.
Have you ever seen them? Seriously, I have lived here for 13 years and I spend a lot of time looking around, but I've never seen them.
Oh, that type of butterfly I have, but I've seen them there as well, so I've been there, but they're just this explosion. And they're all on a mission, they're all flying north. So I don't know where they're going, but they're beautiful.
Yeah.
Now, I want to reflect to my question. I really had something that I wanted to ask while you were in the middle of speaking about Dark Night of the Soul and your biggest lesson. And it's not going to come to me now, so I guess we'll move on.
It might come back.
How can people connect with you, engage with you? What is your program about? What will they learn?
For sure. Well, my biggest value when I decided to get into any kind of giving back is connection. It's the thing that I realized I didn't see in my world when I had my first really major rock bottom. And so, I mean, there's many different ways people can connect with me. I love to just have a chat. So anyway, you come to me and find me, I won't be having small talk. I'll want to know all about you because I've met some of the most incredible teachers, friends, soul sisters, like people that I've gone to stay with through just having an awesome conversation. So I guess, I have a few different ways that people can work with me as well, but my main way is actually something that I do every day. I have a 16-week holistic health program, which covers all of those pillars that I've spoken about. And so I get to essentially just be your cheerleader through that kind of initial process to get your body feeling really, really powerful, to get your mind in a great place. And then if you choose to, we go further with one-on-one coaching with myself, where we kind of delve a bit more into the emotional and spiritual stuff that might be coming up. So we want to get you physically ready first so that hopefully you're not getting every virus and cold that comes through the world, so that you have that space to do the next level of work. So, I mean, if you come to my social medias, either just reach out and have a chat and I can share more information, but you can also stalk me and have a look and see what it's all about. And hopefully I'll eventually be doing more retreats and workshops here on the Gold Coast and probably in Bali again as well, when we're allowed to touch and hug and travel again.
Yeah, I know, that's pretty wild, the world that we're in at the moment in terms of things like that, like going to classes and workshops and retreats and things. It's been really
yeah, it's a bit confronting, but I mean, I do all of these programs that I'm talking about are online. I'm just really excited to start bringing them to real life. But the good thing for everyone right now is that it is online. Yeah.
Well, thank you so much for coming and having a chat with us. Thank you for those who have been watching, and I know that many more of this will be a replay, organised as well as my previous interview. I apologise for that. That was my lack of wellness over the last couple of days. But yeah, like, if you do want to connect with Kat, all of her socials are linked there. Connect in. Again, just recap, my main, I guess, idea for bringing Kat here today is that I don't really touch too much on your physical health and wellness in the work that I do. And so if you are struggling with something, you've got an ongoing health issue, you want to lose weight, anything like that, Kat would be one person that I would send you towards, because it was really focused on gut health, healthy eating, and fixing, like she mentioned, fixing or working on strengthening the physicality first before we start then working on the emotional and spiritual sort of inner work stuff, which is all what I tend to focus on. So if there's anything that in that realm that you want to work on, or even if you want to start an online business, I know Kat has opportunities with that as well. Definitely someone to connect in with and speak to. And yeah, she's just a cool chick. We met over social media, 2 years ago or something?
A few years ago, and then we lived across the road from each other, and we didn't even know.
We didn't even know. We have the same name, the same fashions. So, that's magical. So thank you so much. I'm going to press end broadcast. I don't know if that's going to hang us up as well, Kat, or if we're still going to be able to chat back in. So let's just see. And